Hello, everybody. It's pretty early in the day, and I haven't really gotten a chance to look at the polls yet, so I figured I'd go over them with you guys together. What are we gonna do about Poll 79's blog? Should the combat achievements be reworked as a point-based system? Yes, absolutely. Oh, I guess I should actually vote. Yes, they should be worked as a point-based system. To be fair, I have 6 or 7 hard tasks, and they just handed those out. But because I have a couple of hard combat achievements, that almost pushes me way past the easy bracket. So in all reality, I have kind of done enough to get the easy combat achievements. This really just saves the people that don't want to participate in a certain type of content from doing something. So like in the higher levels, you're gonna have to be dependent on a team that's hopefully as good as you, or even in some of the lower levels, you have to go into PvP situations in the wilderness where, let's just be honest, a lot of people don't enjoy. So should Tithe Farm be made into an instant solo content? I have almost blown my stack on so many people that come in here and then just plant in the middle of my run. I'm not even talking about like I'm stopped getting my run energy back. I'm talking about like I'm about to plant in the place that they're planting and then they start planting while I'm halfway through. Not only does it fuck up all of my points, I have to start over. So I've lost almost 20 minutes because they decided to be dicks. So yes, Tithe Farm should absolutely be instanced. Ooh, should Tithe Farm be a little bit easier seeing as everyone fucking hates it? I actually kind of like Tithe Farm, but yes, it should be a little bit easier. Especially if there was a way for these points to come more frequently, because honestly, nobody wants to grind out like 5 hours of Tithe Farm for the outfit or the herb sack or anything like that. So yes, more points would be awesome and more seeds would be amazing. Could you imagine the experience drop when you actually finish like 700 seeds? It would be so nuts. And I would love to see a competition of who could get the biggest farming drop at once. Should we double the amount of Bologno's blessings received when purchasing them from Farmer Gracola's reward shop? What are Bologno's blessings? Oh, okay. Okay, so Bologno's... I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, so I'm just going to say the blessings. Okay, so the blessings actually give you the chance to turn your grapes that you farm into Zamorak grapes, which is awesome. Yeah. If we're going to improve the rest of Tithe Farm, we might as well improve the rewards to be more in line with the fact that we have enough points for them. Oop, answered it without asking you guys. Should we add herb boxes similar to the Nightmare Zone to Farmer Gracola's workshop? Yeah, it makes so much sense thematically, and if we could add even ore packs or clay packs to it, I don't see why there would be a problem. If somebody wanted to grind that out for their specific type of grind, then might as well give them a chance. If herb boxes are added to the reward shop, should iron players be able to obtain them? Yes. Why would I not be able to obtain a reward that I just earned? What the fuck? Even at Nightmare Zone, I want to say, why can I not earn the herb box? I just earned that shit. I took the time to earn the points to imbue my ring. I should have the chance to earn the herb boxes as well. And there's even a limitation on buying them in the first place. So like, what's your issue, dude? That's not an issue against Iron Men. And to be 100% honest, I'm getting really sick of this. We're gonna honor your oath. I didn't make no motherfucking oath. I just think that you should earn your drops as an Iron Man. And this would absolutely count as earning your drops. So this is the stuff that's starting to piss me off with this Jagex Iron Man shit. Should the Sleepy Tablet be guaranteed to drop at 100 Fasani's Nightmare kill count if the player has not already received one? Yes, and I actually have a video in the works about guaranteed drop rates for a lot of the bosses. Things that wouldn't necessarily be like the pet. Heck no, that is never going to be a guaranteed drop. But when people are like still looking for the BCP and they're on kill number 4000, they should have gotten that guaranteed drop at the 1,200 mark, or whatever the drop rate is for the BCP. It kind of only makes sense, and it honestly would not bring in that much more to the game, but it would at the very least make sure that the going dry thing is just done and over with. And sure, I know a lot of people might think, oh, it's hilarious when I see somebody else go dry, but they get their ass chapped when they start going dry on something. And yes, going dry as an Iron Man is pretty much detrimental to the account. And especially since we milk Iron Men for as much money as we possibly can at Jagex, we might as well at the very least make it a little bit easier for them to play the game. At the very least, make it so some of them don't want to quit. Should we add a visual indicator for when a demonic gorilla changes its attack style, similar to changes we've made to Hunlif and Alchemical Hydra in the past? Yes. A visual indicator is so much better than a, let's hope, an auditory indicator, but I'm sure they probably just wanted you to memorize or just get surprised by the attacks. So if you don't give me a chance to learn it, then how would I do so? So absolutely, a visual indicator would be necessary for these kinds of changes, and you should do it for anything that has a change of attack style. Just like I said, they didn't have an audio cue, but absolutely you should. A lot of people use those audio cues to be able to do things in the game. You absolutely need to turn on your audio if you were going to do Inferno. That's not even debatable. Should we add Scaly Hide as an additional drop from Baby, Adult, and Brutal Dragons, as outlined in Pulse 79's blog? Yeah, it would be cool if you could add more scales to the dragon drops, especially baby dragons, because they should drop a scale every single time no matter what, instead of the bigger bones that we're hunting the dragons for. So it only makes sense for baby a lot, but if we were going to give it to adult and brutal, I might have it be a noted version. But yeah, that's my opinion on that. Should we add a Scaly Hide as an additional drop from Vorkath, as outlined in the Pool 79 blog? Yeah, he's a blue dragon, right? It kind of only makes sense. But also, it should absolutely be noted, Vorkath does not need to pollute your inventory any more than it already does. Should we add a Slayer extension for Revenants? Yeah, dude. You should upgrade Wilderness Slayer at the same rate that you upgrade regular Slayer. If not, one of the two is going to be worse, and that's not okay. It seems common sense to me, but whatever. Moving on to question number 13. Should we double the number of Trover parchments received as a drop in the Wilderness Slayer cave? I mean, no? Sure, why not, I guess. It's not like the Trover parchment's necessarily something that's like, oh yeah! But I don't know. I think increased drop rates should not be for Wilderness Slayer stuff. I think increased drop rates should be for PvP worlds. Should we adjust the offensive capabilities of Swamp Bark and Blood Bark to be better suited to their requirements? Yes. Blood Bark and Swamp Bark are all but useless except for just a little bit of extra defense. They are worse than Mystic, which you can earn at level 40. And Blood Bark's at level 70 or 80, something like that. It's not even a comparison for Swamp and Blood Bark to be used compared to Mystic. But maybe if they put the offensive capabilities a little bit more in line to their requirements, it would be used a bit more. I could actually see the Swamp and Blood Bark being the best in slot 4 barrows nowadays, with this kind of improvement for med-level people. Should we add a permanent volcanic mine access payment costing 3,000 Numalite from Petrified? Something like that should be an easy layup for anything that charges you. Just like the Al-Kharid Gate, if for some reason you didn't want to do the Prince Ali rescue, you should just be able to pay 100 grand and go through it whenever you want. These kinds of quality of life changes are almost necessary because nobody wants to sit through the exact same dialogue 10,000 times. Should we add looting bags to Slayer shops to be purchased for 10 Slayer points? I don't see why not. Adding things to the Slayer shop would actually be a lot cooler. In my opinion, we should almost have a dump of stuff throughout the world that could be added to the Slayer shop. Basic equipment for a lot of things, I just need to get that full rune set. Maybe buy it from the Slayer shop, stuff like that. I can't vote on this one, but I'll still read it. Should Ultimate Iron players be able to use the spice rack inside their player own? What the absolute fuck? The fact that they can't pisses me off. You built that house, you built that spice rack, you used all of the tools on the fucking tool shelf to be able to use that shit, and now you're telling me I can't use my spice rack that I built with my own 28 fucking inventory slots? Dude, that would chap my ass so fucking hard if I was a UIM. Absolutely, I would vote yes, but I can't. Sorry, Jagex, you're dumb as fuck for this. Question 18, the questions for Ultimate Iron Man accounts again. Should UIMs be able to store abyssal tentacles in their stash units? I mean, I don't see why not. That's kind of what the stash unit's for, right? Should UIMs be able to store guardian boots in the stash units? Man, if it's meant to be in the stash unit, then yes. Every single stash unit should be able to be used by a UIM. Doesn't make sense to not do that. But if these are situations where it's like, these things aren't actually in the stash unit, but it's almost necessary to complete the clue, it should also be included too. UIMs, I promise I'm looking out for you with these arbitrary decisions, but at the same time, I don't have a UIM account, and I definitely will never make one because I hate that kind of gameplay. Should we add a self-casting teleport item that would teleport players to safety if they're not interacted with? If they've not interacted with their client for some time. The exact time before teleporting would be customizable by the player. I really want to say no, but I don't want to vote no to anything because Jagex takes that as, no, this is a shitty idea, I don't want you to refine it. So I want to vote yes, and I want them to refine it in the future. But this sounds so confusing, like, you're just gonna give me an automatic despawn timer now that our despawn timer is done from 5 to 25? But at the same time, like, this self-casting teleport item, would it be like, okay, I just set myself up to train Slayer, and I need to come back in about 15 minutes, so it'll just automatically teleport me away in 15 minutes? I don't know, man. It sounds cool, but confusing. Should the drop rate of the Phoenix Pet be increased 15 times for players with 200 million fire-making experience? Dude, it's not? Ooh, that grinded my gears down to the core. Oh my god. What do you guys think about the polls today, everybody? If there's anything that you might improve with them, let me know. Alright, I figured we also take a look at the newest blog post. It's introducing sailing, taming, and shamanism as skill pitches. And this is like official RuneScape stuff, so it's not just my random videos. But let's go ahead and take a look at sailing, taming, and shamanism really quick, just to see what Jagex might be able to introduce into old school RuneScape. Alright, sailing. It's pretty cool. Everyone knows kind of what sailing would be. In general, we've been trying to add sailing to the game for a long time. At the very least, it feels like that from Jagex's side anyway. Sailing, it'd be a whole bunch of different navigation, a way to obtain a ship. I think it'd be really cool if the ship was like a player-owned house. Engage in fun activities on the sea as well. I'm also going to be throwing in a lot of my suggestions for these skills too, so that way they might sound a little bit better for me and maybe for you. So what do you do at sea? Seaborne activities make up the bulk of sailing training, which makes sense. Navigating as a core mechanic. Absolutely awesome. I would love to be able to explore the open sea and maybe find some new stuff. Okay, we don't like the idea of giving you passive XP for navigating around aimlessly, which is good. You should kind of have a task, like be on a Slayer task or a delivery task. And they are saying that they would really revamp all of the deep sea fishing, hunting exclusives, navigational challenges, delivering packages, uncovering new islands. A lot of that could be really cool. On passive XP, which is something that I feel like a lot of people try to ignore when they think of skilling, but a lot of people utilize passive XP more than they might realize. So passive XP could really be stuff like recording your adventures in the captain's log, dealing with random encounters on the sea, which would be amazing. Could you imagine if, like, a squid every now and then could jump up on the deck and you'd have to fight it? But in other words, this sounds like it could be really cool. I'm not necessarily on board with sailing being our next skill, just because it's not necessarily a skill. Just like exploration isn't a skill, it's just kind of like an aspect of gameplay. And if we were going to have a skill, I would much prefer it be called, like, piracy, maybe? I'm not 100% sure, but sailing just doesn't feel right when you're talking about it in the confines of a trainable skill. Next up, we've got taming. And believe it or not, guys, I have a pretty... Oh, that's sailing. And believe it or not, guys, I have a pretty big video about taming in general. It's called Animal Husbandry, but it combines taming, riding, and the animal aspect of farming. And let's see if the taming skill is able to deliver on the taming portion of the video that I provided. Animal companion special abilities is the summoning. Short answer, no. We don't want to make it feel like summoning. And, summoning's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if that was handled well. We already have it in OSRS. People just don't like to acknowledge it. Yeah, this is pretty on track with what I was envisioning in my animal husbandry video. So taming in general, you'd be able to tame a pet, a scalable pet. So let's say you tame a squirrel or a pig or something. They'd be able to, let's say, pick up your birdhouses or, hunt herbivore for you or help you hunt herbivore, not do it for you. And yeah, there would be scalable rewards, being able to go farther and farther into the more dangerous animals. So in general, it's kind of like making a pet, just like the cats, more or less, but it would have a utility. I like this, but I would enjoy it much more if we could superimpose utility onto the pets that everyone wants to earn. Yeah, in general, this looks to be like a task where you'd train a wolf and then it would retrieve bones or drops or something. And then you'd train a monkey and then maybe give you food or create a banana every now and then. So a small basic utility. In my opinion, this feels like 20, maybe 30% of what a skill actually should be. So check out my animal husbandry video that incorporates taming as well. It might be a little more fleshed out than this here, actually. Next up, we have shamanism. Your mastery of shamanism will let you unlock your third eye and gain access to the spirit realm and communicate with spirits lingering between the two worlds. Okay, so yeah, they had us vote on quite a few skills, actually, and spiritualism was one of them. And I believe they've combined shamanism and spiritualism into one. So, nice. That's on the right track. I like what we're doing here so far. Okay, so in general, they're trying to propose that you would be able to imbue your items or yourself with power, natural power, through shamanism. I believe this is almost an alchemical way to do so. Like with getting giant bone marrow, hellhound blood, giant frog spleens, and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure this falls into the right process, but if we can add on to herblore, I like it. There would also be these sites that are disturbed sites where the spirit world and Gielinor is really thin and you'd be able to see the ghosts manifesting. You might even be able to think of a couple of places like that in Gielinor right now. That right there is a really cool idea, and it's kind of the only gem that I'm seeing here, a part of the shamanism skill. I don't really see anything that belongs to shamanism. I see a alchemy update, I see a herbalism update, I see warding, but I don't necessarily see shamanism. So in general, when it comes to shamanism, I believe it would be kind of cool, but again, this is 20% of what would actually be needed for a shaman. The totems is something that they should actually double down on. If shamanism was going to be a thing, I might honestly just tack it onto prayer and herblore. Between the two, you'd be able to have your new prayer book and an herblore update that introduces poultices and different kinds of prayer-like effects that the shamanism would be able to introduce, like the totems or other things. While I do completely agree this would be cool, it would go against what was said earlier when Jagex was polling ideas. Should they combine things that need to be combined from other skills? And I feel like if we introduce this, we would look at a couple of other things and say, hey, those should probably be combined, right? So I don't know about shamanism. I like it, but it's a little too out there, especially not fleshed out enough. And here's the event plan for anyone who might be curious what's coming up or when they might be doing things. I'm going to be trying to keep up with that as well, so if you like, comment, or subscribe, you'll be able to keep up with it too. But if you guys like these discussion type videos, make sure to leave it down in the comments, and I'll see you later.